I think the Keely Ringo thing is interesting because he looks like a safety verging on a linebacker in a couple of games that I've seen so far this year. And I think you've seen I've heard that he's been picked on over the last handful of games, and obviously we saw what happened against LSU. But has he been a guy that has been the target of most offenses? Because I just watched I don't know if it was the Tennessee game or Missouri game where he had an interception with perfect coverage. I think it was the Tennessee game. But has he been a guy that has been targeted right now lately?
Probably the latter half of the season, I think, has been targeted a little bit more. Early on, it was Kamari Lassiter, who sophomore on the other side, starting his first year. But you have seen teams kind of go, not be afraid anyway to go Keely's direction, and he has had some plays where he's been a little over aggressive. He's got called for a few pass interference calls, but then again, he'll look bad one play, then he'll make a play like you just alluded to against Tennessee, where he's running stride for stride with the receiver and makes a great interception. And of course, Georgia fans will, no matter what happened to Keely Ringo the rest of his career, they remember that pick he had in the national championship last year, the 6 to win that game for Georgia. But it has been a little frustrating, I think, for coaches that he has been beaten maybe as many times as he has over the past 3 or 4 games.
Anthony, what would you have to say for folks out there that think that this is just a tight end driven passing attack and there's not much to worry about on the outside?
I would point to the number of receivers, different players who have caught passes for Georgia this year. They've had 3 games this year where 11, 12, 13 different guys have caught balls. I mean, that's something, again, that Stetson Bennett is very adept at getting balls to different guys in open space. And everybody knows about Brock Bauer. Darnell Washington may actually be more valuable in the sense of what he does in the running game on the edge. Any big run that Georgia has had, you could probably look and see, Big Darnell making a key block or doing something to make that play go. But yeah, I think overlooking Georgia's receivers, they don't have the big numbers. That's not how the team is built. But they've got some very quality receivers. Lab McConkey is as tough as they come. And like I said, they use him on jet sweeps, end arounds. He had a 75-yard run against Mississippi State for a touchdown down in Starkville earlier this year. Kyrus Jackson, slot guy, is very dependable. Again, doesn't have the stats, but has made big plays. And getting A.D. Mitchell back is going to give them a guy that can stretch the field. And if he's able to, he got 15 snaps, I think it was, against LSU. They think he'll at least be able to double that, coming up here in a couple of weeks. But Georgia has the receivers; they don't have the numbers, but I think the receivers do get overlooked a lot because of how good these tight ends are.
We've gone through 5, 6, 7 questions, and we've not said anything about the Georgia running game. And they produced some backs through the years. I mean, just recently with Zeus White, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it's appears to be more of a running back by committee. I mean, how much of a departure is this from what Georgia usually is, and why have they gone this route rather than having maybe more of a traditional feature back?
I think that's just what Todd Monken's philosophy. I mean, he's never been a coordinator to line the backs up and just have one guy get 25, 30 carries, whatever the case may be. I mean, he likes they like to spread it around. I mean, historically, since Kirby Smart has been Athens, that's been the case. I mean, 2 backs, 3 backs. Started back with Nick Chubb and Stoney Michel during 17. We split carries almost 50-50, and we've seen that as we moved on. And this year, it's been Kenny McIntosh, who again has almost 40 receptions this year to go along with about 700 something, yards rushed. And Dejon Edwards, Kendall Milton is a guy who big running back, 6'1", 225 pounds, has been battling some knee injuries. But the last couple of games, he scored touchdowns and has 2 of Georgia's longest runs from scrimmage this year. So they've got again, hasn't been quite as dynamic maybe as what people are used to from Georgia, but the backs have been plenty effective.
the way they use Kenny McIntosh in the passing game is, I think it's an underrated aspect of the Georgia offense, and the reason why maybe the receivers aren't as well known is they use them, and it's not just the flats. They use them, downfield. That Tennessee game, there's a wheel route down the seam basically for him, and I think the way that it's not, they don't always use him, but I think that's the problem with Georgia's offense is there are so many different guys, and they can go an entire game without throwing the ball to Darnell Washington. But if you forget about him, then he's going to score, he may have 3 touchdowns in the red zone against you just because if you forget him or ignore somebody. So I think that's one aspect. There's not a bunch of big numbers, but everybody that they get the ball to, it's purposeful and it's effective.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was, mentioning earlier. There are, again, just so many guys they have confidence in right now. Stetson has the ability to make checks and run all the. I mean, and Bennett has just been very adept at getting the ball to guys who are open, and that really could be anybody with his team. And that's why you've seen so many different players, I think, play key roles in this offense.